I'm Marc Coles-Ritchie. I'm the new science coordinator and ecologist for Grand Staircase-Escalante National Monument. And I'm happy to be here to talk a little bit about science. I'm going to put some cookies out here, we call them. These are cuttings of tree, and I'll talk about them in a minute.
Where's the real cookie?
Yes, that's a good idea. Next year.
Yeah.
All right, I have some slides that I'm going to show about the Grand Staircase region. Next. So my objectives for today are to go ahead and the next one, Doug. Are to share some of the research that's happening at Grand Staircase. In my role as science coordinator, I facilitate the permits for doing research in the monument, and I'm also encouraging new researchers to come and do research in the monument. So I want to share some of that that's been happening in Grand Staircase recently. I want to inspire some of you who are scientists or future scientists to come and do research. And so during this talk, think about things you might be interested in researching in the monument. If you're not a scientist, you can still be a citizen scientist. You can go out and do observations, and I want to inspire you to do that. I want to foster greater appreciation for ecology and share some tools for how you can be a citizen scientist and document plants and animals and other conditions on the land. And just as a side note, my training is in vegetation ecology, so my focus or my bias will be towards plants. But this science in the monument covers a lot of different things, as we've heard today. Next. And I just have to show some beautiful photos of Grand Staircase, plants, animals, the bighorn sheep in the middle, biocrust, streams, riparian vegetation, upland vegetation, penstemon, monkey flowers, pinyon juniper, Phragmites, paintbrush. It's a beautiful place, isn't it? So some of the recent research that's been happening in the monument includes things you've heard yesterday and today. You heard great talks about paleontology by Joe and Alan. You've heard about vegetation and climate and impacts of treatments of vegetation and climate effects and all sorts of things related to vegetation. You've heard about riparian and wetland monitoring. The AIM crews are collecting really impressive data there, and I'm excited about that. You just heard about reptiles. And then there's been other topics that have been researched recently in Grand Staircase. Again, the AIM crews doing terrestrial, the upland surveys and the Lodic or stream surveys. Korea River breadroot has been studied in the monument, a rare plant. Tucker oak is an unusual oak species that's been studied just in this past year. And these interesting stone columns, geologists are studying those to try to figure out how they formed. It's a fun mystery. And then some of the research that I and my colleague Bill Gray have been doing are related to aging of pinyon and juniper trees. These are some slices from some trees that were cut at Tilted Mesa mountain bike trail near Kanab. This one is 623 years old. We counted the rings. You have to sand it and look with a detailed camera to get that, to see the rings. This one is 223 years old. This little guy is 170 years old. Pinyon and juniper especially grow incredibly slowly in a dry setting, like that top one there. And so that's been a fun project that I've been working on. So also recently we updated the science page for Grand Staircase. I encourage you to go online and look at this. You can search for Grand Staircase Science and it should pop up. And on this page, I want this to be a place where you can see and the public can see current and recent and older science that's been happening at the monument. And so this has all kinds of things like recent publications, information about water quality, wildlife, soils, paleontology, news releases about these publications, interviews with scientists, and current water and weather data. So I encourage you to bookmark this page and keep an eye on it. We're going to update it and make it a useful thing for all of us. So I've been reaching out to researchers at universities in Utah and across the West to encourage them to come do research. Some of them have been doing research, and I'm just encouraging them to come back. Other folks I'm encouraging to start a new research project. These are some of the topics that I've been hearing about recently that people are interested in studying. Kind of like John was just talking about, aquatic insects and water quality in springs as well as streams. The distribution and status of rare plants is an important topic that we in BLM are going to study, and we're looking for partners to help us do that. Pinyon jay abundance, I know Grand Staircase-Escalante Partners is interested in studying that. The old juniper and pinyon documentation, I'm interested in. I'm going to be doing that, and I've got some ideas for collaborators on that to kind of characterize how old trees are different than younger trees, because the size doesn't always correlate well especially for juniper. You can have a really big tree that's young if it's growing in an area that's wet, and you can have a really small tree that's really old. So I want to characterize that better for land managers and folks that are doing vegetation treatments, so that we don't cut down the really old 600-year-old juniper trees. And also, if you have ideas for research, think about that. And next slide. This is a little handout. I'll leave it up here for you to look at later. BLM has a new system for permitting paleontology, recreation, and science. So this one on the right here is the one that I will be managing in terms of permits or applications that come in to do research in the monument. And when I talk to some researchers, they say, oh, it's too difficult to do research in parks. But we are not a park. We're not a national park. Bryce Canyon is pretty hard to do research in Bryce, right? But in Grand Staircase, we are considered the science monument, and we want research done here. We encourage research, and there's a pretty simple system for doing the application, and it's now in a new online system. It's called Raptor, Recreation and Permit Tracking Online Reporting. Just coincidentally, it's also the name of an animal, but I'm excited that this is just starting. Just this month, really, Grand Staircase is becoming one of the pilot projects in testing or initiating this system to receive applications from folks who want to do research in Grand Staircase, and then we will grant permit if it fits within the criteria of the management plan for Grand Staircase. But I'm excited about that. So think about that if you're a researcher, and we get your permit or authorization to do research in Grand Staircase. And we want support and help of outside researchers to help us better understand this landscape. Another new webpage that we've created at Grand Staircase is something about engagement and citizen science. So giving you ideas, what you can do as a member of the public to engage with this amazing landscape. So on this webpage, there's all these menus that you can click on and open up, and they'll drop down, and you'll see lots of different ideas for documenting insects and animals and plants and water quality. So it's a way for you just on your own to go out and be a citizen scientist. Sometimes there's apps that you can put on your phone and document conditions and observations. Sometimes you can be part of a group. And you'll hear more in the next talks about other ways to get involved in volunteering at Grand Staircase. And you can also learn about events in the Save the Date. This symposium was in the Save the Date drop-down menu. Also, I want to give you some few tools that I like especially for plants, but the top one, iNaturalist, is a really useful application that's on your phone as well as a website where you can document what you observe, plants and animals, when you're out and about. You don't need cell coverage to document when you're out. You just take a photo, and the photo, take the photo when you're in iNaturalist, and it'll document where you are. And then when you get back to coverage, you can upload, it'll upload automatically, or you can tell it to. And if you don't know the plant or animal, you can just leave it blank and someone will help you identify it. If you know it, you can put what you think it is. And it's a crowdsourcing way of sharing expertise. And a lot of experts look at those and provide free identification for you of plants or animals. And I look at that on a semi-regular basis. And I know Jackie does. And who else looks at iNaturalist? All right, we've got some folks. Oh yeah, Darren's really good from Zion National Park. He's the ecologist there. And so we will help you identify plants. And there's a specific project called Grand Staircase-Escalante National Monument, that top photo, and you can see there's 10,000 observations with 1,200 identifiers. So a lot of people are really interested in documenting what they see out on Grand Staircase. Plants and animals, insects. It's a fun tool. Another thing, something I created when I worked at Grand Canyon Trust was this plant identification resources PDF. You can find that by searching. Well, go to the Grand Canyon Trust website and you can find that PDF that has books and apps for your phone and little brochures and websites that'll help you with plant identification for the Colorado Plateau. Next. So Marcia Holland, in the last session, talked about the Southern Utah Oral History Project, and she has done phenomenal work. She and Marietta in doing over 300 interviews with folks, and most of those have been shared on this or posted on the Southern Utah University online library. It's a virtual library. And the transcripts are there, and in some cases, the actual audio is there. Right now, we're still going through a process of adding keywords. Not me, BLM is funding it, but the Southern Utah University is still adding the keywords, so it's a little hard to search right now. Right, there's 650 or so documents up there. It includes the oral histories as well as scientific reports, publications, including Alan's paleo papers and others. Keep an eye on that. Here's an example of what it looks like with the description and a little bit of information about it. We're hoping to make it better, or it is going to get better and better over time. So keep an eye on that. It's a useful tool. There's even a few videos that we're going to have linked on here as well. So a good resource. And just had to show another picture of a plant because I love plants. This is a beautiful cottonwood tree here in Grand Staircase and in an amazing canyon setting. And a beautiful tree, Ponderosa pine tree up on No Man's Mesa area. I feel so lucky to be able to work in this beautiful landscape and to try to better understand it and better protect it. So thank you.